crazy exodus we're seeing of aldermen, and it might not be over. There might be more people who announce that they are not going to seek reelection. But thus far, I think it's been 13 aldermen who have basically said, hey, I'm not going to be running for reelection. And three of them have done it because they are going to try to run for mayor. But the rest of them, they're just backing away. Some because they're in legal trouble, like it was Proco Joe. But others, I think they just don't want to have to go through the rigmarole of the election cycle and trying to hang on to the seat. But 13 new aldermen after the election, that could potentially be a major change for the city, depending on who gets in those seats. Hudson, you got any thoughts?
Look here, this is the highest turnover in 80 years from what I've seen and read actually. I wasn't here 80 years ago to see it. But when you have this many aldermen cutting out, look, you gonna hear some things and read some things about this alderman job 70 hours, 80 hours a week. Trust me, I don't think my alderman's putting in 70 hours, 80 hours a week. Look, alderman is one of those jobs that you make it what it is. You
Hmm.
you make it 70, 80 hours if you really have a passion for doing good in the community. I think others are spending 20 hours maybe a week with this
Maybe.
thing. So
Hmm.
when you consider that, you consider that's happening sometimes. And when you think about, they get the pay and they get the cushy status, because alderman is a cushy status in this city.
Hmm.
um and when I mean cushy, there's lots of kickbacks, there's lots of little shady backdoor behind the scenes stuff that goes on.
It's a
and it
great
and
way to
it's
enrich yourself.
it's amazing how some aldermen try to call it out, as if they're not a part of it. It's like one ghetto person calling another ghetto person, "Hey, yo, ghetto ass." It's like, why are two stupid people calling each other dumb? Like, why do you do that, right?
Mhm.
And so I gotta think that this exodus is happening strictly because there's one or two reasons. The first reason I can come up with is that the feds are getting close to indicting a bunch of people and they are trying to cut bait and run. That is my first thought. My second thought is, and I wouldn't normally think this as a thought to leave a job such as this, but my second thought is that they just can't take Lightfoot.
Mhm.
That is my second thought. And the shouting matches back and forth, the the butting heads, the tension that has been notoriously reported during Lightfoot's tenure.
Mhm.
I can't help but think that whatever is going on behind the scenes, that is beginning to get too much. It's beginning to get too much for people, and so I I would not have normally thought that. I would have thought that maybe they would just do a big campaign to try to get her voted out, but it seems to be enough to just, I just want to walk away. And the reason I think this could be the case is because, well, a couple of them are thinking about running for mayor. Like
Mhm.
they're supposedly still making the decision, but they still said they're not seeking reelection to be an alderman. And so I'm like, well,
Regardless. Mhm.
so you don't want to get out of public service, so to speak. You just want to leave this spot. Why?
Mhm.
Question is why. So I might be leaning towards this is a Lightfoot issue and not an indictment coming down. Of course, I still think that's a good chance too.
That's always a possibility. I mean, Jason Irving, Alderman Jason Irving, I think is the only member of the city council that I've heard about who like really gets along well with her. Lightfoot notoriously has not really made connections, has not really built up a network, and is disliked by the majority of people that she works with. Now, that's not necessarily a big deal, especially when you're mayor of Chicago. The Dailies were disliked by uh, a lot of people throughout the city. Same with Rahm Emanuel, I'm sure. But the difference with them is they were all known for competency. And
Mm.
so that dislike was balanced against their ability to get things done.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, I would venture to say Lightfoot, throughout her 4 years, hasn't really demonstrated competency. And she she's generated a lot of dislike amongst people, but not really fear. It's not
Mhm.
like they really feel like, okay, this is someone who could politically destroy me, because she's got so much power and so many connections. Like, she hasn't really built that up. She only has the structure that she's just walked into. She hasn't really created anything herself out of it. And so I don't know, it's weird to me that it would cause this mass exodus, because frankly, a lot of the aldermen give as good as they get. So it's not
Right.
like they've been punching bags for Lightfoot. Like, some of those council meetings, the exchanges happening back and forth between her and the aldermen were crazy. Like, it almost made me wonder, why are you coming back to the mayor's seat? Like, these people can't stand you. You know what you're gonna get. But yeah, it's just, my main thought about this is just, wow, how incredible would it be if you could get just a whole new wave of thinking coming into our local government that could
Yep.
really change the way Chicago operates
Yep.
in a manner that, again, we haven't seen. When you think about it, again, this hasn't happened since the 80s. That means for the vast majority of the dailies run, and let's be honest, a lot of what's going on in Chicago right now is really built off what the dailies have done. Nobody's really come in and said, you know what, maybe there's a different way that this city can operate. And this is the first time that it really, really felt like, wow, we might be trying to change that and do something different. I got to be honest with you. I think it's very exciting, but at the same time, I think what the problem is a lot of times the mayor has his or her handpicked candidates. And those are the candidates that they get more money, they get more push, they have more people working for them. So technically, this is an opportunity for a whole new wave of thinking and a whole new batch of people to come in and potentially alter how Chicago works. But in reality, it could be a fantastic opportunity for Lightfoot to do a power grab and basically say, okay, in all these areas, who is my person that I know is going to do everything that I want them to and is going to work with me? All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get this person elected. And so, it only works when it's coupled with a Chicago population that is paying attention to what is going on and has decided they're going to be invested in who is going to represent them.
Mhm. Well, it's gonna be very interesting to see some of these campaign ads because, are you gonna I mean, how are you gonna react? Because there's to me, they even at this early stage, there's a great chance that Lightfoot is not reelected at this
Maybe,
point.
maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it might shore up better as we go, but we're gonna start seeing ads coming out soon, and and we're gonna have interviews and discussions coming out. How are they gonna approach the, working with Lightfoot angle? Because that
Mhm.
is going to be something that any reporter worth their salt is going to want to know. I mean, with all the exodus, I'm sure it's constantly asked, "Are you leaving because of Lori? I mean,
Right.
is that why you're going?" And
Right.
then for the people who are going to be coming in, I mean, those people that's going to be uh, 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 possibly elected, who are going to be new, who are going to want to hit the ground running. Are they going to use that as a springboard? Are they
Right.
going to be, I'm not going to let Lightfoot push me around. So, it's going to be very interesting to see how this all works out because what are they going to run on? I'm sure crime is going to be one that so many are going to attack in this one because as much as Lightfoot keeps touting these numbers that all these violent crimes are down, it definitely does not feel like it. And I
Nobody
have
feels safer.
yeah, I haven't looked at the statistics, but other people have, and let me say I have not done my personal review on these statistics, but a lot of people are coming out with statistics that suggest that it's actually different, suggest that during her tenure, she is not actually improving crime one bit. That the that the significant drops in crime and violent crime happened over a span of years where she was not in office. So she's
Mhm.
still benefiting from that by saying that crime is down. So I don't know.
Um,
I can't confirm those stats one way or another. But
right.
definitely, like you said, it doesn't feel any safer.
No.
So I'm not,
But
I
but I will say I feel like it's not a fair critique of hers. And again, this is somebody who's not particularly a Lightfoot fan. Do not plan to vote for her. But for any major city, honestly, if we're going to talk about crime statistics for the past 4 years, you got to talk about COVID and the pandemic and the summer of heist that that we've experienced across the country. I think it would be extremely difficult for any mayor to figure out how to deal with that situation. And while I do feel like Lightfoot handled the pandemic poorly in several aspects, I don't feel like it's fair to put it on her that, hey, crime hasn't improved under your watch. Like, how many mayors have had to deal with a situation to this extreme? And how many of them were really armed with the tools to be able to really combat crime in this type of situation where you have whole swaths of people that are out of work with no sign of restitution coming anytime soon?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's definitely a fair assessment, but is it an assessment that the people are going to go for? Is the question. It's one of those things where you know I- when I look back on it, did she have a good plan to begin with?
Mhm.
Her hiring of what Superintendent Brown is it?
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
That was definitely very questionable when that happened, and
What is
and
people's issue with Brown? Like, I've never read up on the guy. Like, I don't understand why folks are so down on him, besides folks just being down on cops in general. But it seems kind of like both sides, even the sides that usually side with cops, don't like him as well.
Well, what I noticed first off, right, when he first got here, and they were touting how he was going to bring this great mind to the issues of
I remember
crime and
that.
come up
Hmm.
with all these fancy solutions, unique solutions to solve these problems, right? But then when the first holiday weekend came under his watch, the first thought was we're just going to put more police on every corner to make sure nothing happens. That was the big idea. Let's
Hmm.
bring more police in here and drop them on every corner in the city, right? And it seems to be their idea on every major holiday. And now we get all these complaints about officers not getting days off, which I think is a shitty way to treat your officers, a
I
crappy
agree
way. And
wholeheartedly.
I'm no friend of the way the police operate, but it's in everyone's best interest that they get their days off. It's in everyone's best interest that they get a chance to be with their families on holidays. It's just not enough that you give them their days off eventually,
Hmm.
right? Because they're making that claim too. They do get their days off. It's not enough.
Yeah,
If none of those officers can be with their families on Christmas Day, I have a problem with that. I
yeah.
have a problem with that. So that's something that needs to be corrected, right? But to go back into it, it just seemed at the end of the day he had no real answers for I would consider him like a temporary superintendent of like he's the guy you put there just to kind of hold it down for a minute. He's like
Why
the
you get somebody
substitute
who really
teacher
understands the
while you
job?
get a real person to take the job. And then it goes, why would we bring this guy all the way here just to hold the job down temporarily? You
Right.
know, so I don't seem to see that he has like you say, the respect of the people around him, the respect of people who actually seem to like the police, nor do I see he really has the respect of the police.
Right.
It just doesn't I just don't get that impression. So all in all, that makes him an ineffective leader.
Mhm.
And so I think Lightfoot's, choice in that, while I think it's a great thought to search outside of Chicago for your superintendent for obvious reasons, obvious at least to us in Chicago. Um, I just don't think the choice she made was a good one.
Mhm.
So I will again. It will be very interesting what Lightfoot's plan is during her reelection, and we're kind of going off subject of the aldermans here. It's going to be
Mhm.
interesting to see what her plans are and if they're going to include Superintendent Brown. Because if it was me, they wouldn't include him. You know,
Mhm.
but I, you know, but it seems like people do not want to admit that
I
they made a mistake in something.
Mhm.
So she's going to roll with them. Yeah, I think that's definitely going to hurt her a little.
I think she should roll with him because at the end of the day, I feel like everything he's done is considered to be coming down from her anyway. So it's not like cutting him loose really makes you look better because all people are going to say is, oh, you're making him the fall guy for all the decisions you were making anyway. So I think she's kind of just stuck with the anchor of everything that's been happening with the police department, especially since her relationship with police leaders has been so poor, especially that union leader guy. I can't even remember his name right now, but they can't stand her. So I feel like she might as well just decide I'm just going to have to try to figure out how to get elected, even though all these people hate me. So,
Well, when you circle back around and you talk about the pandemic being hard on Lightfoot, so now we can say that equally for these aldermen,
oh,
right?
yeah.
The pandemic's been hard on them, and remember, we have many vacant spots within the police department, and it's not to say that we need those spots filled, but we definitely need them, I guess, for the plan or makeshift plan that the police department has in policing our city. So
Yeah.
for them, those missing spots are paramount,
Hmm.
right? And so you got to think that in a lot of these districts that these aldermen are feeling that. So
Hmm.
they're left and right. Even though aldermen are not specifically responsible for police response within the city, it's
People
something that
blame
I'm
them.
sure people
Mhm.
are asking them about. Hey, can you get more police here? Can you get these crimes solved? Can you get all this stuff? And
Mhm.
but to go back to your point of this could be these aldermen leaving could like be just a great thing for us as far as just starting fresh with fresh blood on the whole city council. We got aldermen leaving places that are food deserts.
Right.
We have one alderman who's leaving who's the alderman of that ward, where 87th Street and 87th and State near the Dan Ryan, where
Hmm.
that Walmart, he constantly touts how he fought for that Walmart on 83rd and Stewart to be built. But we
Hmm.
got this food desert going on. There's many
Hmm.
problems in that area that need to be solved. Thank you
That
for that
Walmart
Walmart.
can't solve.
But that Walmart didn't solve the tons of issues that are going on over there, right?
Hmm.
So we got tons of these areas that with aldermen who really didn't have much response or much plans to take care of it. I don't see aldermen out here connecting with the people. All these programs that you might see on their website are are done by third parties who really they had little to no involvement with these programs. They're just
Yeah.
showcasing them on their website to make it look good, right?
Mhm.
They're not beating the streets. They're not going out and really taking control of their community to
Connecting.
rally them into one direction or the other. So, and that happens when you have a bunch of incumbent people. They already know who to go to get reelected.
Mhm.
They already know which pasture I need to visit,
Right.
which Ebenezer church I need to go to and visit and make sure they tell their constituents to
Mhm.
vote for them. So, this is going to be great. New blood, they have to go the extra mile to try to build those relationships, which means that you might actually get some people who are actually for the people.